Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something really fascinating. This idea of the philosopher king. It's almost a myth, right? Since Plato, the thought that the wisest person should actually rule, well, it felt like a fantasy.
Exactly, because look at Rome's track record. You give someone absolute power. Caesar, Nero, Domitian, you name it, and what happens? Power corrupts. It seemed almost inevitable, like the system itself was designed to, well, break people.
But then there's this one huge exception. Marcus Aurelius, born 121 AD. He's the guy we're diving into today. The one who somehow got the top job, emperor of Rome, and didn't become a monster. He stayed, decent.
And it's important to remember his path wasn't exactly paved with gold. Lost his dad super young, like age 3.
Well, 3.
Yeah, so he was raised by his grandfathers who apparently doted on him. But even really early on, there was something about him, this honesty, this drive to learn that caught the attention of the Emperor Hadrian.
Right, Hadrian. He was famously looking for a successor, wasn't he? And he spots young Marcus and sees something different. He even gives him that nickname, Verissimus.
The truest one.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Talk about foreshadowing. The kid known for honesty ends up ruling the world.
And it wasn't just, a surface thing. By the time he was maybe 10, 11, Marcus was already deep into philosophy, not just reading it, living it.
How so?
Well, the sources say he started dressing really simply, like in rough clothes and living frugally. He even slept on the ground sometimes, trying to toughen himself up. He was already practicing these virtues he'd later write about. Upright, modest, straightforward, sane.
Okay, so let's get into how he actually ended up on the throne. It wasn't like a direct line. Hadrian saw this kid, this incredibly principled kid, and came up with this, well, pretty complex plan.
Oh, it was brilliant, politically speaking. This was 138 AD. Hadrian adopts Antoninus Pius, fine, but there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
Right. Hadrian makes Antoninus promise that he will then adopt Marcus Aurelius. So Hadrian is basically setting up the succession 2 steps down the line, making sure his truest one gets a shot.
Now, this is where Marcus really shows his colors, isn't it? He finds out he's going to be Caesar, basically next in line for emperor. You'd think champagne corks popping.
You would. But no, the sources say he was greatly saddened.
Saddened. To inherit the world.
Yeah. He actually complained about having to leave his quiet life, his studies, his mom's house. He listed all the terrible things past rulers had done, said he'd rather just be a writer, philosopher. It's kind of staggering, really.
That reluctance makes his eventual acceptance more powerful, though. It wasn't ambition driving him. He saw the risk, the moral danger. Didn't he have some kind of dream about it?
He did, yeah. Apparently, he dreamed he had shoulders made of ivory. He took it as a sign. Like, this is a massive weight, almost unnatural, but maybe I can carry it.
And carry it he did. So 161 AD, he's 40 years old, and boom, he's Emperor Marcus Aurelius.
Right.
But the big question is why? Why didn't he go the way of Nero? Why didn't the power, the purple, stain him?
Because it wasn't just about having philosophical ideas. Lots of emperors had tutors. For Marcus, Stoicism was different. It was his operating system.
His daily practice.
Exactly. He was consciously fighting against the corruption of power. He literally wrote notes to himself like, take care, not be Caesarified or dyed in purple. He knew power was toxic. He was actively trying to be the exception.
And his very first move as emperor kind of proved that point, didn't it?
Yeah.
Usually a new emperor cleans house, gets rid of rivals. Marcus had an adoptive brother, Lucius Verus, who also had a claim.
And any other emperor, Lucius Verus would have had a convenient accident, probably poison.
But Marcus
does the unthinkable. He voluntarily names Lucius Verus co-emperor, gives him half the power.
Wait, he shared absolute power. Just like that. That's not how Rome worked. Was it just smart politics to keep Verus quiet?
Maybe partly, but it seems deeper. It caused practical problems having 2 emperors, but it eliminated a huge potential rivalry. It showed his character straight away. The first thing he does with total power is give half of it away. His ego wasn't the driving force. It was about stability, about what was right for Rome.
Okay, so he starts off incredibly well-intentioned, but his reign, those 20 years from 161 to 180 AD, they weren't exactly peaceful philosophical reflections, were they?
Oh, not at all. They were brutal, just relentless crisis. The historian Dio Cassius even wrote that Marcus wasn't physically strong and was just buried in troubles his entire reign.
What kind of troubles?
19 years of near-constant war on the frontiers, for starters, but then the big one, the Antonine Plague.
Right, the pandemic. That was devastating, wasn't it? It lasted like 15 years.
At least. and killed maybe 5 million people, possibly more. Imagine trying to run an empire through that, plus constant war.
So how did the philosopher king handle that level of disaster?
He didn't run. When the plague hit Rome itself, a lot of the rich people, understandably, got out of the city, probably the sensible thing for personal survival.
But Marcus stayed.
Marcus stayed. He felt it was his duty. His presence was meant to reassure people, like the British royals during the Blitz, maybe. His job wasn't just to save himself, it was to lead through the crisis.
Okay, and what about the money? Wars, plague? That must have bankrupted the treasury. Did he just jack up taxes?
That was the usual Roman way, yeah. Or just loot a province. But he refused. He did something pretty dramatic instead.
Which was?
He held this massive public auction right in the Forum. And he sold off imperial treasures, jewels, fancy furniture, silk robes, even stuff belonging to his wife, the Empress.
Seriously. Sold the crown jewels, basically. Was that just for show?
I think it was genuine. It was about financial integrity. He saw the state's money as belonging to the people, not him. And get this later, when things got a bit better, he told people they could bring the items back and he'd give them their money back.
No way.
Yes, way. He famously told the Senate, "Even the house in which we live is yours." Imagine Nero saying that.
Okay, that's definitely not Nero. But here's maybe the ultimate test. Betrayal. His top general, Avidius Cassius, out east, tried to stage a coup, right?
Yes. Cassius declared himself emperor. This is the moment where philosophy meets brutal reality. Does Marcus crush him mercilessly?
That's what everyone would expect. Make an example.
So Marcus saw it differently. He saw it as a chance, and this is amazing, to forgive a man who has wronged one.
Forgive a traitor trying to kill him and steal his empire. That sounds dangerously naive in Roman politics.
It sounds insane by Roman standards. He actually asked for Cassius to be captured alive so he could personally forgive him.
Did that happen?
No, one of Cassius's own soldiers killed him first, and Marcus was apparently genuinely disappointed. He wouldn't even look at Cassius's severed head when they brought it to him.
Wow. And what about the people who backed Cassius? The senators, the other commanders?
He treated them with incredible leniency. No bloodbath, no purge. He actually pleaded with the Senate, saying, "I implore you, keep my reign unstained by the blood of any senator."
That is remarkable.
It really is. For him, it boiled down to that simple idea: do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. Justice and his own integrity were more important than vengeance.
So let's shift from the emperor to the man inside. We have his meditations. People often treat it like a book of inspirational quotes, but that wasn't the point at all, was it?
Not even close. It was never meant to be published. The Greek title, Taes Houton, just means to himself. It was his private journal.
His personal operating manual.
Exactly. It was how he coached himself, corrected himself, prepared himself every day. It was his tool to avoid being Caesarified.
And the way it starts is so interesting. That first section, debts and lessons, he lists, what, 17 people? And thanks them for specific things.
Yeah, like thanking his mother for teaching him piety, or his tutor Rusticus for warning him off writing overly academic philosophy. He was actively reminding himself of the good qualities he saw in others. It's a real practice of gratitude.
And he used it to prep for the day, too, right? That famous bit about knowing he's going to meet difficult people.
Yes. Preparing to meet people who are surly and rude and selfish and stupid, as he put it, but then resolving before he meets them that no one can implicate me in ugliness. He decides in advance not to let their negativity infect him.
That connects to that Stoic idea he writes about a lot, sympathia.
Right. Sympathia, the sense of interconnectedness, that we're all part of one larger organism. So acting for the common good isn't just nice, it's rational, it's good for the whole, which includes you. It's the philosophical backbone for why he cared so much about the common good.
He also seems to use the journal to keep his ego grounded, constantly reminding himself fame is nothing.
Totally. Just applause, clacking hands. He wrote that Alexander the Great ended up in the same dirt as his mule driver.
That's humbling.
He knew his position was temporary. They've even found statues from his time, like at Aquincum, where the emperor's head was designed to be swapped out. They knew emperors came and went.
You know, it strikes me how people often picture Stoics as these unfeeling robots, but reading Meditations, Marcus seems so human, so full of struggle.
Oh, absolutely. He wasn't some perfect sage floating above it all. He wrestled with anger, fear, lust, grief. We know he cried openly when his tutor died.
Really? An emperor crying in public?
Yeah, and he apparently wept in court once when a lawyer was talking about the plague victims. His own adoptive father, Antoninus, supposedly said about him, "Neither philosophy nor empire takes away natural feeling."
So the philosophy wasn't about not feeling.
No, it was about not being ruled by harmful feelings. He writes about temptation, but his prayer isn't, help me get away with this, it's help me stop wanting this. He's working on his desires, not just his actions.
And the personal loss he endured? It's almost unimaginable. 13 children with his wife, Faustina.
13, yes. And he lost 8 of them. 8, including 5 sons.
Losing 8 children during plague and war. I can't even fathom that kind of grief.
It's devastating, but then you read his writing from after these tragedies and you see this incredible, almost brutal resilience. He forces himself to reframe it. It's fortunate that this has happened and I've remained unharmed by it, not shattered by the present or frightened of the future.
Using philosophy to process, not erase, the pain.
Exactly, to keep it from destroying his core.
Okay, but we do have to talk about the criticisms, the flaws.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't perfect. History points to 2 big things: persecuting Christians and picking his son Commodus to succeed him.
Yeah, those were the major shadows. The Christian persecutions are hard to square with his philosophy, though likely driven by traditional Roman piety and seeing them as disrupting social order. But Commodus, that's the big one.
Right. Commodus was, well, a disaster. Vain, cruel, maybe deranged. He basically ended the good times, the Pax Romana, after Marcus died. If the whole point is a wise ruler, how did Marcus get that succession so wrong? Did the philosophy fail him there?
It's the toughest question, honestly. You have to consider the context, maybe. Hereditary succession was becoming the norm again. Marcus had a biological son. He was old, he was sick, he was managing this huge war on the border.
So maybe he feared civil war if he skipped Commodus.
It's possible. He might have chosen what seemed like the safer, more stable path in the short term, even if Commodus was flawed, rather than risk chaos by picking an outsider. A pragmatic choice, maybe? A terrible one in hindsight, but perhaps understandable political calculation at the time. A failure of nerve, perhaps, more than philosophy.
That difference between the ideal philosopher and the practical ruler seems key. He was very pragmatic day to day, wasn't he? Those little sayings.
The cucumber is bitter, then throw it out. There are brambles in the path, then go around. Yeah, very practical. Don't fight reality, work with it.
Apply that to problems. If one plan fails.
Don't freak out. He wrote, you should gladly accept the obstacle. Shift your attention to what is given, and another action will immediately take its place. Focus on the next right step you can take.
He also showed incredible generosity, especially after being away at the wars for so long. What was it, 8 years?
8 years fighting on the Danube frontier. When he finally got back to Rome, he gave this huge cash handout, 800 sesterces per person, the biggest ever.
Wow.
And then, even more symbolically, he gathered up all the records of debts owed to the government, brought them to the forum, and publicly burned them.
Burned the debt records, just wiped the slate clean.
Wiped it clean. Talk about relieving pressure on people. It perfectly fits his maxim. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself.
With the plague always looming, death must have been constantly on his mind. It comes up so much in meditation.
Absolutely. The smell of burning incense for funeral rites, the sheer number of deaths, it made mortality incredibly real. He used it as a motivator.
How so?
That famous line, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Don't waste time. Focus on what truly matters because your time is limited. He was rehearsing his own death.
And that death came when he was 58.
Still
on campaign.
Sure.
Out on the frontier.
Yeah, near the Danube, probably modern Vienna or somewhere close. He died doing his duty, just as he would have wanted. His supposed last words really sum it up.
What were they?
Go to the rising sun, I am already setting. Then he just covered his head and passed away peacefully. An exit with grace, as he'd hoped.
So, wrapping this up, the real achievement of Marcus Aurelius wasn't that he was naturally perfect. Nobody is. It's that he worked at it constantly, deliberately, through unimaginable stress and personal tragedy.
He used his philosophy every single day to try and be better, to try and rule justly. He shows us it's possible, even if incredibly hard. He'd tell us basically, look, if a human being can do this, you can too. The potential is there.
Which really leaves us, and you listening, with a powerful question to consider. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can you find a more peaceful and less busy retreat than in your own soul." Now, if a man ruled your Roman Empire during constant war and a devastating plague could find that inner stillness, what external pressures, what burdens are you letting block you from finding your own inner retreat?